Good morning, everybody. It is 8:50 Sunday morning here in the part of the U.S. that I'm in. So I realize that a lot of people may not be able to make it on this live, and that's okay. There will be a replay, so people can just watch the replay. I am really excited about this because I've actually been wanting to get on and start sharing a little bit more about this inner healing journey that I've been on lately. I've been sharing a lot online on my Facebook and Insta posts, and I've been getting a lot of questions from people. A lot of you have questions about this, and so if you're out there and you're feeling depression or anxiety or just unfulfilled with your life and you know there's something more, you may have some limiting beliefs that are holding you back, just like I did. So if you see me looking down, I do have some notes here because I just wanted to kind of hit on a couple of really important points. Hey guys, hey, I wasn't actually expecting anybody to be online this early in the morning. So we're just going to talk about a couple of childhood moments that kind of shaped my story that I was telling myself about myself, and how that led me to understanding and realizing that I needed to do this inner healing journey. A couple things I want to point out to start with is that so we think of emotional trauma as something that is maybe violent or like a sexual trauma, but it actually doesn't have to be that at all. From the ages of 0 to 7, we're really pure subconscious, and at that age we can't really logically discern some events that happen to us. Maybe your teacher gives you a bad grade on a paper that you worked really hard on, and at that age you might interpret that as, oh my gosh, I'm stupid, or I'm not good enough. Because we're so young at that age, we can't always logically discern things and make sense of it. So that kind of imprints on our subconscious and becomes a story that we tell ourselves throughout our life. So I'm just going to go ahead and just get started in a couple of points in my story that I uncovered when I started doing the subconscious work, which I will get into that toward the end here. I also want to mention, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not blaming anybody. This is just simply a deep dive into where some of the parts of my story came up. So maybe some of you can relate. When I was a child, we had a pretty average life by US standards. We didn't have a lot of money, but compared to, a lot of other places in the world, we lived a very comfortable life. My mom stayed home with my sister and I, and my dad worked double shift after double shift to provide for our family, worked a lot of hours. My mom, looking back as an adult, I believe she was depressed. So there was a lot of disconnect there. There wasn't the affection that I think I really needed as a child growing up. There wasn't a lot of attention and affection, and as well as I picked up on her sadness, and I kind of took that on as my own. So the story I started telling myself, because my mom, she was available for us if we needed her. She was always in the house, but she wasn't always really present with us. And the story I told myself as a small child, needing that attention and affection that I wasn't getting, was that I wasn't worthy of that attention, that affection, and that love at that time. And again, as an adult, I know my mom loved me. It just wasn't expressed in the way that I needed it as a child. And so while that's not an obvious trauma, that was something that formed my story of myself at that time. The other thing was that there was a lot of tension, a lot of yelling between my parents, and sometimes directed towards us as children. And again, as an adult, I understand, we've got so much stress providing for a family, and there are relationship problems sometimes between adults. But as a child, as a small child, I internalized all of that. I felt that maybe somehow this was my fault. I internalized all the fighting and the anger. I grew up having very, very low self-esteem all the way into adulthood, which resulted in me then attracting very emotionally abusive, I'm not talking about friendships, but I'm talking about romantic type relationships, boyfriends, significant others were always very emotionally abusive, which just perpetuated that cycle of low self-esteem for me. And I'm gonna take a drink of coffee out of my Santa Claus cup right now because it's just too early. So, Marcial says, I need to be doing this in Spanish. Listen, Marcial, you speak English too. Maybe I'll have to practice. If I'm going to do it in Spanish, I'm going to have to practice my Spanish. Ya tengo mucho tiempo de no practicar mi español, hermano. Okay, so where I was with my story is that I'm attracting all of these emotionally abusive relationships at this point, to a point where I got to adulthood and I'm in my 30s and I'm now a single mom of 2. And just out of a very long emotionally abusive where I felt very trapped for many years and finally realized, like, hey, I'm done with this. Like, it's time for me to focus on me, and it's time for me to focus on what I need to do for my kids and I. So at that point, I'm was and still am the sole income provider for my children. And those of you out there that are single parents know it's difficult, right? I don't get any child support. I don't get any other financial help. So it was always a struggle. And so at that point, I'm like, hey, what I really need to do is start some sort of business. I didn't know what to do because up to this point, the story I'd been telling myself is like, hey, I'm just a registered nurse. Like, those are the only skills I have. And up to this point, the story I've been telling myself is I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I don't have any skills or talents that I can share with the world. That, like, my story was just one of low self-esteem and low self-worth. And I didn't have anything to offer people. So I started these kind of generic business things. Like I tried Amazon FBA. I tried different Shopify drop shipping stores. And then I thought, hey, maybe health coaching is something that I could get into. It didn't really light me up, but it started me down the right path, because during that training is when I really realized that I had you do 85%. Okay, Marcio. Sorry, I was reading the comments here. Still wanting me to talk in Spanish, I think. Anyways, so I started this health coaching training and realized that I needed to do some mindset work. I needed to do some inner work. That the reason that all of these things that I was trying to do to improve my life were failing was because I had this low self-esteem, this low self-worth. I had these self-limiting beliefs that were holding me back. Like, I didn't think that I could do it. And if you don't think you can do it, then you can't. Like, you have to be able to get past those beliefs and know that you're worthy. So I'm just looking down at my notes here to make sure I didn't miss anything important. So I'm doing this training. I realized that, hey, I've got this mindset work to do. I've got some self-limiting beliefs to overcome. And I set out to do just that. I started reading all of the personal development and self-help books, listening to podcasts, YouTube videos. I started journaling. I started really uncovering what some of my blocks were, what some of those beliefs were. And little by little, I started to progress to a point where, I was working through all of those beliefs I had that had been holding me back. And then I started to learn more about our subconscious mind, which I'm going to dive deeper in another live in a couple of weeks. So be on the lookout for that. I understood at that point that if I would start to do some subconscious works, I could make some more profound shifts, and I could make them a lot faster than just uncovering piece by piece through my journaling and my affirmations and things like that. So I looked into it and found a form of hypnotherapy called rapid transformational therapy. It's developed by Marissa Peer, and what it is you go in and you'll have a hypnotherapy session that's about 3 hours long, where you'll go back in your subconscious because you don't consciously always remember where some of these beliefs came from. So you go back in your subconscious to kind of uncover where your beliefs came from. What moment in your childhood did that first kind of imprint into your mind and become your story? So you do that hypnosis session, and then they will do a customized, personalized self-hypnosis recording that you continue to do for the next few weeks, and honestly even for the next few months. Like, I've been going like 3 months now, and I still keep getting better and better, like stepping into this next level version of myself. I keep progressing further and further the more that I do this hypnosis. So that's really what I wanted to share with you, because I've been getting so many questions about this lately, and it's really all about the subconscious. The other thing that I'm really excited to share is that I'm actually doing a course right now where I'm learning some of these modalities. So I'm super excited because I know some of the people that have been reaching out to me could really use this. I know there's tons of people out there that could really use this stuff. So look for that to be coming in the next couple months too. And even in the next couple weeks, I'm going to actually start structuring my own coaching to try to help people uncover their blocks and what's blocking them, and come up with a plan to help other people to do the same thing. So through doing my own work, I really came to find out and understand that what really lights me up and what I'm really passionate about is helping other people to do this work, because you know, we get to make up our own story of our life. Like, if you don't like how your story's going, you get to change it. You can do that, and you get to live the life of your dreams. So you're going to share it with your friends, Marcel. That's great. So that's really all I wanted to share, and I actually am really surprised at how many people are online right now. I thought people would be like at church or sleeping or drinking coffee out of their Santa Claus cup like me. Does anybody have any questions? Marcial? ¿Alguna pregunta? Okay, so if nobody has any other questions, I'm actually going to go ahead and end this live, but hi Chris, hi, awesome to see you. I'm just so surprised that so many people are online right now. If you guys are watching a replay and you do have questions, feel free to put in the comments. I will be checking back in. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that anybody's got. And okay. If you don't feel comfortable posting questions in the comment section, you can reach out to me privately on Messenger. I'm available, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And thank you for coming on and watching this morning. Thanks for joining me. It's good to see all of you.